Right, short date and learn objective, please. Short date and learn objective. When we've done that, pause the video while you're doing that, and then press play when you're ready. When we'll start the lesson. Okay. Right, so we're going to have a look today at some graphs. So a bit of a change. Okay, nice change. Some graphs. Often do these towards the end of the school year. Okay, so if we're looking at a pictogram, okay, I'm not going to spend too long on these because actually they're not too tricky and we should be okay with these. So say for example a whole square is worth 100. What would half a square be worth? What would half a square be worth? I can hear people shouting it out. Yes, it would be worth 50. What would then a quarter of a square be worth? Yep, 25. So you can see here with pictograms you can have the whole thing, you can have half of it, a quarter of it, you could even have an eighth of it, then it would be worth 12.5, etc. So once you've got that, okay, so say for example a square is worth 100. Okay, if you had this value here, okay, what would that value be? I've got 3 full squares and a half square. So that's 100, 200, 300. Half is worth 50, so that would be 350, wouldn't it? Okay, and then I've got that, and then I've got that. So now we've got a full square, and a quarter of a square. Okay, quarter of a square. So that would be worth one. It could, because a whole square is worth 100. So we go 100, 200, and a quarter of a square is worth 25. Remember, because a half a square is 50. So a quarter of a square is half of that 25. So we got 225. Okay. So then you might have this. So you might be asked if this is score A, okay, if I can just squeeze that in, and if this is score B, what is the difference between score A and score B? Well, score B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 500. Score A is 100, 200, and 25. So the difference between them, we take them away, isn't it? Take them away. Okay, and it would come to 275. Okay, do your written methods if you need to on that. Okay. Okay. So that's when you come to do the pictogram work. Okay, you should be okay with that. Okay, just work your way through it. Take a bit of time. Just don't. It is pretty straightforward, but don't make any silly mistakes with it. Okay, so that will be some of the work. Most of the work today will be on line graphs. Okay, so this is a line graph showing the heart rate during a PE lesson. The heart rate during a PE lesson. Hang on, let me just. I just want to cover this for now. Okay, so let's have a little look first of all. So here we have, along the bottom we've got the time of the lessons. The lesson starts at 11 o'clock and then we can see it finishes at this time here. I wonder if it does start, maybe it starts at there, doesn't it? Okay. So we'll work out exactly when it starts and when it finishes. Okay, exactly when it starts and when it finishes. So you can see here at 11 o'clock, this pupil's heartbeat is 80 beats per minute. Okay, and it stays 80 beats per minute. What time is it here when it starts? When her heart rate starts to rise? And again, this is a bit like the work we were doing in the last couple of days, last couple of lessons, where you just have to work out what each of these boxes are worth. So if that's 11 o'clock and that's 11:15, then that's 3 boxes in between, isn't it? So that's 15 minutes. Okay, divided by the 3 boxes, so it's 5 minutes each box. 5 past 11, 10 past 11, 15 past 11, 20 past 11, 25, yes, and so on, isn't it? So we can see there. Okay, so it's here at 11:45, and then it probably finishes here, I would say, at 11:50. Okay, from there. Okay, So we can see at the beginning of the lesson they go here, and the heart rate is rising. So this is the heart rate during the pre-lesson. So it's rising, then it rises again. It started to rise there, then it hits, then it goes, stays at that, and then from there it starts coming down. The heart rate starts decreasing, okay? So it could be at this part of the lesson here, if they start at 11, it could be that they're just doing a few stretches. Maybe they're listening to the teacher. Then they go straight into some vigorous exercise and the heart rate rises. And then towards the second part of the lesson, things slow down, okay? And you can go from there with it, okay? And you can see up on the side, so you'll always have on your different axes, this is your x-axis, your y-axis, it'll always be labeled. So you make sure you read these carefully. So this is the pulse, beats per minute on here, okay? Let's have a look at some questions on these then. Let's have a little look at some questions. So what was Natasha's pulse at 11:15? If I want to work that out, I go to 11:15 and I go straight up and I find this point here, okay? So if you won't be able to do this in your books. Or if you do it in your books, do it very lightly in pencil. I'm going to do it a bit harder so you can see it. So you go from there to there. Okay. Okay. So that will be at 11:15. Okay. You go from 11:15 up to the line and then across. So that would be 140 beats. Okay, 140 beats per minute there. Okay. What would the pulse rate be at 11:20? Could you work that out, please? Can you work that out yourself? Have a little look. Okay, I'll just pause the video a moment just so you can work that out and then press play when you're done. So let's have a look. 11:20. We know each of these gaps is 5 minutes. So that'll be 11:20, 25, 30. Yes, 11:20. So we go up to here again. Okay. And we go across. So if I go across from this point, okay, if I go across from here, I can see that it's halfway between 140 and 150. So that would be 145, okay? So that one would be, B would be 145 beats per minute, okay? Beats per minute. All right, let's have a look at the next one. When did Natasha's pulse rise to 120 beats per minute? Well, let's have a look up the side. Did it rise to? So that's telling me it's going up. It's risen to, so I'm going to go on my beats per minute. Oh, look, 120. So I'm going to go across 120. Okay. So I can go across 120 until I hit my line graph, my graph, the line on my graph. Sorry. And then I'm going to go down there. So it goes to this point here, isn't it? Okay. So that's again 11 o'clock, 11:05, 11:10. So the answer that would be 11:10. Okay. Let's have a look at question 2. B. Fall to 130 beats a minute. So that means it's going downwards. This is where it's going up, and this is where it's then going back down, isn't it? So could you have a go at that yourself? Pause the video. When did Natasha's pulse fall to 130 beats per minute? It's this question here. Okay, see if we can work that out. Right, let's have a little look. So 130 beats, so we go across up to 130 beats. Now we know it's when it's decreasing. So when it's decreasing, this is why we've got to be really careful when we come to read these, because it's very tempting to go here, yeah, and then you'd go there, it'd be something like 11:12, okay, but actually it's decreasing, so it means it's going down, fall to 130, so it's falling. So we go to this point, and then we go down. Okay, down to here, down to that point there, isn't it? Okay, so again, so 11:30, 11:35, 11:40. Hopefully you've got that one, 11:40. Okay, it's decreasing downwards. When did her pulse start to fall? Have a go with that yourself, okay? Pause the video, see if you can work that one out. Press play when you're done. Right, let's have a little look. So this is where her pulse was rising. Then it was staying the same. At this point, her pulse is staying the same, okay? And at this point, it starts going down, okay? They stop the exercise, or they're cutting down, they're slowing down the amount of exercise. So you go to this point here, isn't it? That is the point at which it starts to decrease, okay? Her pulse starts to fall. Okay, this is it falling, getting lower. So let's work our way down here. We don't really need the line there because I'm sure we can work that out. So 11:35, it would be 11:35. What was Natasha's highest pulse rate during the lesson? Let's have a little look. Work that one up for yourself, nice and easy. What's the highest pulse rate? Let's have a little look. So this is the top of our line, isn't it? So this is the highest point at which, so we just go across 150 beats per minute, isn't it? 150 beats per minute. What is a resting pulse rate? What is a resting pulse rate? Have a think about that, okay? A resting pulse rate. So your resting pulse rate is in fact when you're not doing any exercise at all. So this would be her resting pulse rate. So she might be sitting in the hall listening to instructions, okay? And in this case, she might be back in the classroom, and they're back. They're back. This might be where they're walking back to the classroom. You never know. And then they're back in the classroom there, okay, sitting back down. Your pulse rate lowers, isn't it? Okay, because obviously when you sort of run around. When you run around, your pulse rate gets higher, your heart beats faster, the blood pumps around your body faster, just to sort of feed those muscles that are working harder. Okay, so these points here are the resting, so that would be 80. I've got in a couple of additional questions as well. When does a heart rate increase the fastest? And between what times does your heart rate increase the fastest? When is the heart rate increasing fastest? Okay, pause the video, have a think about that one. Now, when we have these type of graphs, okay, the steepness of the line can really help us. Now, when it's flat, it means something is staying the same. So it's staying at 80 beats a minute there for 5 minutes. It stays at 150 beats a minute here for 10 minutes. But also then, when we go the steeper the line, the faster something is increasing, okay? So it's really going out. This is the steepest part, isn't it? If you look, it goes in 5 minutes, it goes from 80 to 120. So you can see that is the steepest part there. This is still going up quite quickly here, but it's not as steep, this part of the line, as it is only going up 20 in 5 minutes. Then that's not very steep at all, okay? It's just increasing gently, okay? And the same again, then which part, or at which time, so this is the time it is increasing the most is between 11:05 and 11:10. That part here, okay? So it's increasing the fastest, 11:05 to 11:10. When is it decreasing the fastest? When is it falling? Okay, when is it falling most quickly? When is it decreasing most quickly? Her heart rate. Okay, pause the video, have a little look. Between what two times? Right, let's have a little look so I can see here. Yeah, it's falling quite sharply there, but it's falling much more sharply between these 2 points, isn't it? It's gone down 4 blocks in just 5 minutes. It's gone down 40 beats per minute from 130 to 90. So that tells me again the steepness of this decrease, the steepness of the line tells me it's happening at its fastest. So at this point it's between 11:40 and 11:45. Okay, it's between those 2 points. Right. Okay. So generally speaking, these aren't these are generally not terribly difficult. Isn't terribly difficult to work, but you just need to be a little bit careful not to make silly errors, okay, when you're interpreting graphs. Don't think sometimes it tricks you, so just make sure you read questions carefully. Now, on the extension, some of you, and I think most of us will get to the extension part where we are drawing a graph, okay. When you come to do that point, okay, you're drawing a graph, just remember to put your weeks along the bottom. So remember, when you're drawing a graph, you use these lines. You don't, not the boxes. When you're doing line graphs, it's all about the lines. So this would be week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, 7. And actually it goes up to week 12, but I haven't got enough room. So do your weeks along the bottom. Okay, if you get to the point where you're doing the graph on the extension sheet, okay. And then when you're doing your stuff up the side, find the smallest number you've got and put that in first, okay. I think the smallest number here is 52.8, okay, 52.8. So I would just start here with 52.7 and then do like 52.8 and work your way up like that. Think about how you're going to go up in the graph. In fact, you're going to have to go a bit more than that. I would go 52.6 and maybe 52.8, 53, 53.2, and that might not be enough, okay? So you might need bigger gaps than that. So have a go. It's quite tricky, the drawing of the graph, but if but it should be a good challenge. It's a really good challenge to have a go at that anyway, okay? Right, this is the work I'd like us to do today. So just so I'm not going to spend too long on going over that. So page 61, questions 1 to 8, pretty straightforward, okay? Should do that really quickly. Then have a go at that extension, please. Have a go at the extension. Right, good luck with that, everyone. Bye.